The path to financial freedom, and no, it doesn't take decades. What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. So today, man, we're breaking down and diving into a topic that might ruffle some feathers, man. We're going into how to be financially free and not take decades. That's right. Tap in because I'm about to share my journey from a broke council estate kid to now having that abundance wealth mindset, man. Let's go. Now, don't get me wrong, being a millionaire, being free when you're 60 years old, there's nothing wrong with that. That's amazing. But why not have that a bit sooner? You know, whether it's 5 years sooner, even 10 years sooner, man, why not be a bit younger than the conventional age of retirement? This pursuit of freedom gets massively held up in our schooling years. Now, when I look back at my schooling years, it all makes super clear sense to me now. You know, there's a lot of dream crushing going on in schooling. And it's unfortunate, man, because we grow up with this abundance mindset, with this no limit mindset. You know, I see it in my children now, I see it in children around. And throughout schooling, we lose that. And especially through adulthood, you know, we definitely come further away from that limitless mindset. And we're in this pursuit almost, at least if you're trying to aim for freedom, we're trying to get back to that state of mind. And it took me so many years now at the age of 33, you know, I've recently got this mindset back, you know, the past few years now. And it's took me so long to reconnect with that mindset. And I think if we can stay in that childlike state of mind for as long as possible, it massively, statistically increases our chances of achieving or overachieving what we want to do. Picture this, man. Look, I'm in school, you know, excited about your dreams. And I remember in primary school, I remember in even secondary school where, you know, you'd write your goals down, you'd write things down that you'd want to have, maybe that mansion or, you know, whether it be that supercar, whatever it is, the amount of money you wanted. You'd write all that stuff down, you'd be excited, and, you know, you would talk to people, you talk to teachers about that. I remember a specific teacher always telling me that, because I was always in like that middle set of learning. You know, we had sets throughout school. You'd have the top set, middle set, and obviously the bottom set. I would be in that kind of middle ground. So I was kind of like a C grade, D grade student, something like that. I remember like my teacher, she would always nail home that we as a class would only achieve a certain amount. It was always like there was a ceiling there. You know, don't overachieve because you'll be disappointed when you fail. And it was always that kind of mindset. So I'm growing up with that mindset, thinking it's normal. And because it didn't come from malice, I took it on board because, one, again, what we taught as kids, you know, respect your elders, respect teachers, and, you know, kind of don't question things. And again, it pulls us away from that childlike state of mind, which is so important, and it's a superpower to keep that. And it's always about that lower expectation. It's just not right, man. It's just not right, especially if you want to achieve anything great or aspire to being free and breaking free of those normacies of life, man. So I think we got to always focus on, especially now we've got children, I do this massively with my children, is pour into them, give them that confidence, give them that superpower belief, and nurture that childlike state of mind, man. So the key point with that is just believe in yourself, man. It's very important to stay believing in yourself. Super important. And don't let the system squash your dreams, because if you give into that system squashing your dreams, you're never going to amount to nothing. You're going to prove them right. You're never going to achieve anything. You're never going to get that freedom which you're longing for. You're never going to build wealth from nothing. It's just not going to happen. You know, it's not all about the positive thinking. Positive thinking will only get you so far. It's about positive believing. Believing that it's possible, believing that you can achieve those things, because believing, you need to be living already without you even being at that point. You need to believe that you're at that point and start living in that, okay? It's very important that we start being the person that we're looking to be, because if we don't be, we won't do. And if we don't do, we won't have. It's as simple as that. So a massive pivot point for me was seeking great counsel, okay, and choosing advisors very wisely, because advisors can either escalate your journey or decelerate your momentum quite substantially, okay? So always be careful of who you take advice from. Now, I'm not saying you need to go out there and spend crazy money on a millionaire, billionaire mentor. I'm not saying that, okay? It may just be whatever direction you want to go in, whatever you want to aspire, try get in close proximity of those people, or at the very least, even if it's someone who's even just 10 steps ahead of you in that same thing. They don't need to be a master and expert. They just need to be ahead of you. They just need to have achieved some of the things that you want to achieve, okay? That's important, is soliciting good counsel, because if you don't have advisors around you, then you will massively fall into those pitfalls, whether it's financially, spiritually, physically, all those things. It will affect everything if you don't seek good counseling. So while friends, family will always seem like they have great intentions, a lot of the time they will be projected on you. They'll be projected on you, their fears, their traumas, their misconceptions with happened to me growing up, coming from where I come from. It wasn't the norm for anyone to do anything great. So it was always seen as like this gargantuous thing that was out of reach. And it was always that notion of take your time, maybe that's not a good idea. Whereas, okay, a lot of it comes from love, but again, like I said, it comes from their shortcomings and they project that on you. So take, the outside sources, those advisors, whether it's family, friends, whether it be strangers, take always with a pinch of salt. And no matter how great the data is, no matter how great the source is or the mentor, use what they take, bring it on board and analyze that data yourself, because you always need to be able to fish for yourself. It's not always practical to be given the fish, okay? Because all it takes is for that mentor or that person, that advisor in your council board to, be gone one day, or whether it be, they're old and they pass, or they fall out with you. Something simple as that, or you just don't align anymore. You've got to make sure that you can fish, okay? It's very important that you stand on your own 2 feet, take all those data points in, analyze it yourself, and be able to make decisions for yourself. And that will massively change your trajectory, because that's what it did for me, okay? I got a little bit lucky, and I was great at selecting good counsel around me, especially in the later years of my life, where I can take those data points, learn from them, quickly adapt and apply it to my own method. So when you hit a roadblock, and you will hit a roadblock, do not just scream, throw your hands up in the air and wave that white flag. Don't throw your dummy out the pram. You need to sit down and think of at least 10 solutions towards that problem. Now, if that doesn't work, you write down an 11th, because that will be the key deciding factor in any successful person when they've achieved things, huge things that are out of reach, seem impossible. They have been solution-oriented people, or at the very least, they've adapted that skill into their arsenal. And this is a huge merit to myself, my business partner. This year alone, our trajectory has just been incredible, because we've been solution-oriented. We haven't been focused on getting our egos out. We've had debates, we've had talks about things, disagreements, that's understandable, but we come together always with the solution. We're not trying to fight about who's right. It's about what's best for the project and the direction we want to go. So if you can adopt that skill set and add it into your utility belt of skills of life, you will transcend massively in whatever endeavor you are trying to move towards, okay? Super important. It's probably one of the most important parts about this framework, which you need to adopt, is keeping that problem solving mindset. It's always important to put yourself in uncomfortable positions. And any opportunity you get presented to you, dive into the uncomfort, or I should say discomfort, because it will massively grow you in all areas of your life, in business, in your family life, in anything. It will massively add to you. It will never take away from you. It will only add value to your character. And me growing up, I was very insular. I was a very unconfident person. I was, we could say an introvert. I didn't want to put myself in uncomfortable positions, things like public speaking, things like getting in front of, your class disco and dancing in the middle. Like, that just wasn't me growing up. Now, sadly, I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to have a little bit of that in me. And I always knew I kind of did have it in the back locker, but I never displayed that. I never put that forward. And I do kind of not regret that, but I do think about those times, because now I'm pretty much the polar opposite. I'm always all about putting myself in uncomfortable positions, because I know it's going to make me grow. And if you can adopt that, I think, like I said, it will only add to your character. It will only bring you closer to where you want to go. Staying comfortable is what's going to create discomfort in the future. And especially when it comes to financials and building that financial freedom, you need to take risks early. Now, I'm not telling you need to, take all your savings out and put it all on Bitcoin. I'm not telling you to quit your job or, trade your missus in and get a new one. But if it's holding you back, you'll thank me later. Now, on the back of taking risks, I think it's necessary to take risks and you can't negotiate the necessary. But I'm not saying that you need to be, like I said before, taking all your money out and putting it into a stock that you've seen on TikTok. That's not what we're trying to say. That's not calculated risk. That's just foolish guessing. So we need to keep our feet on the ground. This is where we need to educate ourselves, and especially when it comes to financially, because no one's going to care more about your hard-earned money than you. So it's down to you to get that education, absorb the information, and make educated investments for yourself, because these investments, yes, carry risk like anything, but they also carry heavy reward. And if you put time on your side and you invest early enough, you will reap those rewards later down the line. And like we said, hopefully if you get in early enough and you be diligent enough, meaning consistent enough and focused enough, then that freedom goal will come closer and quicker in your life. So the sooner you start, obviously, is better. Now, the best time to invest was 20 years ago. And the second best time is right now. So the earlier you start, the better. It's no different to like planting a tree in the ground. Now, the longer you wait, the harder it is to enjoy that shade. So you need to start early. You need to start as soon as possible. Don't wait for the stars to align, because the right moment isn't ever the right moment. You're not going to get it all right initially. I didn't. No one did, okay? You may have a bit of luck, yeah, of course, but you're not a investment guru, and you should never seek to be one. You should always be trying to learn and adapt and grow and be better in all endeavors. And I've learned that the hard way. I've learned that, early on. Lucky enough, I got my mistakes out of the way, and now my last few years have been tremendous. There have been leaps and bounds in both education and practical element. My portfolio is my children's portfolio because my education, I take it seriously. Now, you don't have to take it to the extreme levels because there's easy ways to invest. You can simply just put money into the market and let the market do the hard work for you. You can do index tracker funds, super simple, super cheap, and you're in the game. At least your money's moving at a better rate than it's sitting in a bank account. So at the very least, start there. Get that education. And if you've got children, start early for them now. They ain't got a clue what mommy and daddy doing for them right now. The money that they accumulate over time, by the time they're 18, by the time they're your age, maybe 30s, mid-30s, they'll be choice abundant. They will have a lot more choices than the average 30-year-old, whether it be, going off to uni, going to do that study where they don't have to solicit debt. Maybe they could get that down payment super easy on their first property, even cash buy it, depending on how much are in their investment portfolios. So that's the kind of mentality we've got to start adopting, man, is make it the norm. Make it the norm to build your family net worth, okay? Even if you start from nothing, that's the best place to start because the only way is up, okay? That's the mindset that I carried on with. So I think everyone can do that, man. It's more than achievable. Like we said at the start, I'm a C-grade student. I am not clever. I just adapt, apply the information, and reap the rewards, man. So I like to focus on a 3-fund portfolio. I have a mix of US stocks because US stocks are the biggest, they're the best, they've got the best companies there, they're worth the most. All the money when it comes to the stock market is mainly flowing to the US. So that's why I like to park my money. I don't need to try and be a contrarian and be different and go against the grain. I'll go with the trend, and until that trend changes, then I will move my money elsewhere. Then next up, I like to use index tracker funds, okay, like we mentioned before, things like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ. So essentially, they're just a group of stocks which you get to participate in their ups and downs. And on average, they're going to bring you anywhere between 10 and 12% a year, which is, I don't know anyone's bank account situation, but I don't think there's a bank account out there that provides you 10 or 12%. I'm just being real with you. Then lastly, I like to invest in some international stocks, okay? So stocks from all different regions, maybe UK, it'll be European stocks, maybe across the seas, in India, different markets. And again, I don't put much capital over there. It's just I like to have a bit of exposure over there for when things are emerging. Because as we know, the world is ever changing, it's ever growing, and it's emerging. So I like to be participating in those emerging markets. So think of it like It's simply putting your money on a balanced diet. You know, not just force feeding it protein or just carbs or fats. You're having a healthy mix of all of those, okay? And your money's no different. You need to have a balanced diet with your money. You need to, that's what we talk about diversification. It's not spreading it too thin where you're in, 30 different stocks, because how the hell can you keep up with 30 different stocks, especially if you're not professional and you're not doing this as a living day to day. You don't know about 30 stocks. You can't research 30 stocks. You haven't got the time. If you're working a 9 to 5, you've got kids, you've got a missus. How are you doing all that? So keep it hyper-focused, a select few industries, and diversify the industries. Don't just put it all in tech. Maybe have some healthcare, have some utilities maybe. Have different sectors so that when one is up, the other may be down, and vice versa. So you're kind of spreading that risk like we said before. So that's important to think about when you're looking to build a portfolio out. Don't just ram it all into the big names that we've heard about. When we talk about financial freedom, it's not just about investing. It's all about streams of income. And we spoke about investing, and investing can be a stream of income, especially if you are a dividend investor or you accumulate enough shares where the dividend can subsidize income. That's an amazing way to build a revenue stream. But that takes a while to build up. So initially, most people's revenue stream is going to be their 9 to 5 job. Now, me personally, I still work a 9 to 5 job. I think they're amazing. I think they're a solid income source. You know what you're going to get every month. You can budget that, separate what you need to, and you can invest a portion of that or put it to a side to build something that you want to do outside of your working life. So I think it's important that we try to build those revenue streams, whether it be having that business on the side of your 9 to 5, having those affiliate incomes even, maybe rental income from a property, things like that. So you basically got to think about you as an asset, as a kind of a utility belt of income streams. That's a streamlined way to build closer to your freedom goal. Now, I'm not on about making 7 different businesses, because that's not what income streams is about. It's called vertical integration. So if you've got an idea or a business, there's ways you can add or bolt on additional revenue streams to your already one thing. So think of a chef right now. Okay, let's take, for example, someone's a chef who works in a restaurant. That's their 9 to 5, that's their income. But then thinking vertically, what can that chef do? That chef can also do cooking ebooks. He could do a published book. He could do paid viewed content. He could do a webinar. He or she could do any of those things to create additional revenue courses. You could do private catering, private classes. There's multiple different ways you can bolt on to being that chef. So think of it in the same way. In any field, you can do this. Now, the levels of bolt-ons may differ, but you can definitely vertically integrate to whatever industry you're in. So if you start adopting that mindset, rather than thinking about, I'm trying to create a side hustle here, trying to create a side hustle there, it's not sustainable, it's not scalable, and you will burn out, okay? And I know this because I've tried. So try to think vertically. What are you doing currently? What job are you in? Or what expertise or what experience do you have that you can bring to the marketplace and add bolt-ons to that to scale? And the quicker you do that and the more you add on, the quicker you can go to your freedom goal. So if you want to build your net worth, you got to think about building those income streams. And if you like the idea of investing, go check this video out, man. It will give you the red flags to avoid when you're starting out as an investor, and it will massively help you, man. But before you click that, hit the subscribe button, man, if you want to keep building that financial literacy and turning your last name into an asset, man. Appreciate your time. See you in the next video.